We got an update to the Ranger class to fix it once and for all, or did they in 1D&D? We got actually 3 different Rangers we're talking about here. I'm going to break it all down as quickly as possible, and a potential 4th Ranger, which I feel like there's a Power Ranger joke somewhere in there. But anyway, that we could possibly unlock depending on what you guys think. The first one is the original 5th edition Ranger, and all of the flack it gets and all of the issues that it has. Second is the 1D&D Ranger that they have released. I'm going to show some things there, some interesting moves, some things I like, some things I don't like, and then the third Ranger, which is my Ranger. Me and Pagna Bros, one of my homebrew bros, has worked together on and have had this Ranger. I've had a video on this. A link for that will be down in the description, and I'm going to have a PDF for you guys that is fully free, and we'll talk about that later in the video. But let's break down this Ranger, and then hopefully, if all of the things that I present to you here in this video, you will be able to pick and choose from all 3 of these Rangers to make your own, or possibly we talk about that 4th Ranger in a second. All right, diving into the new 1D&D Ranger. The first thing that's absolutely a big game changer here are cantrips at first level. What? That's insane, right? They get actual cantrips, and I feel like this feels fine. Now, there's an exclusion to evocation magic, which is interesting, and I don't know why they've excluded just that. But okay, I don't necessarily agree with it, but we can move on from that. You get cantrips. I think that's going to make the Ranger feel a lot more magical, and you could always describe this magic as being more nature-based or being more MacGyver type based. But I really do love that they're going to get cantrips. I think that's great, and that they get spellcasting comes online at first level. Great. Expertise makes sense to get at first level because they are an expert class now that they've lumped in together with the expert class group that we have already. And favorite enemy gets some changes, which honestly, the favorite enemy changes are an improvement to what the original is. I will say that. But in my opinion, it is not as good as the favorite enemy fix that I have with my Ranger. So we'll get into it. You're adept at focusing your ire on a single foe, and you can use a Hunter's Mark spell, always prepared. But it's still a spell, and it does not have concentration, which is good, but it still costs a spell slot. And let's see how many spell slots Rangers have. Oh, 2. And you have to, like, Rangers just should have Hunter's Mark prepared always, yes, and it should be a feature instead of a spell. Leave the Rangers' limited spell slots alone. There's already things that they can use their spell slots for camouflage type invisibility. They have cantrips now, which is cool, but leave their spell slots alone, and then they're going to use it for Hunter's Mark. If you force them to have to use a spell slot for Hunter's Mark, they're going to use it for that, and they're going to have not a bad time, but it's just not going to feel as much like a Ranger if you're not Hunter's Marking stuff. Come on. So favorite enemy falls a little short for me. It is bonus action. They remove concentration, but it's still a spell slot, and I don't like it. So I'm going to go ahead and shift over straight away to, this is my Ranger. Me and Pagna Bros' Ranger, and this is the 3rd Ranger I'm showing here, and we'll talk about that 4th one if you're liking what I'm putting down here. So how we had this work is you get Hunter's Mark as a feature at first level, right? And Natural Explorer. Awesome, cool. Now, full disclaimer here. The 4th Ranger I'm talking about is if you guys like this video and like all the stuff that's going, my last Bard video was one of the worst videos I've made in a while, so I was hesitant to make this one, but I really wanted to get this out there for the Hunter. So if you guys show this one some love, I will make a 4th version of the Hunter that takes the best from 1D&D, the best from all Rangers, the best from the comment section down below, and I will make a 4th Ranger and the final perfect fix, in my opinion, for the Ranger. And because I do like the fact that they get spellcasting earlier and they get cantrips. So if I could make a simple change to my own Hunter here, spellcasting they would get at first level, because I do fully believe that you should have 3 features at first level that you should get. All characters should get 3, a very simple one, and we'll go in from there. But Hunter's Mark is a feature, and if you notice here, there's a Hunter's Mark column for the Hunter's Mark die that you get. And at early levels, it's just a D4, and that's fine because it's a feature that you can use for bonus action, and it's just a feature. It's easy. And then it grows and scales over time into a D12 at higher levels. Super awesome, super rangery, and you don't mess with their limited spell slots. Like, look at this, they don't have any spell slots. You get the idea. So anyway, another thing with the Hunter's Mark is you have advantage of wisdom checks to find it, and you get the 1 weapon die added onto it. But you can do this as a bonus action, or you also automatically cast Hunter's Mark on a creature that you've been tracking for at least 1 minute, following its footsteps, studying it, hunting it down like a Ranger. It removes the favorite enemy type of situation, because then that makes it very specific towards the type of enemy you're going for, which is a problem with the original Ranger. But I digress. Let's get back to the 1D&D Ranger. So all the first level features, awesome, cool, great. They did change how prepared spells work, and now all spells are prepared, and you have a number of prepared spells equal to the number of spell slots spots you have. That's a very smooth and clean fix, so I'm not going to complain about it too much. It's very simple, but moving on. I'm just glad the Rangers are more spellcastery anyway, so I can't complain too much about that. Anyway, let's keep going through this thing. Second level, you get fighting style. Cool, totally fine with that. Third level, interestingly here, you get your third level, your subclass features, instead of at 3, 7, 11, 15, you get them at 3, 6, 10, and 14. The same as all expert classes. And we'll see if all classes are going to be this way. I doubt that, but at least all expert classes will be this way, which I assume Artificer will be in that boat as well. But anyway, that's me hypothesizing. So third level, you get your Ranger subclass. Awesome, cool. Fourth level's a feat. Fifth level's extra attack. Again, subclass feature. Now at seventh level, you get roving. For me, I guess this is kind of rangery. You're moving more. It's not really nature or land based, so that's a little bit of a miss for me. You're just faster if you're not wearing heavy armor. Okay. And you have a climb and swim speed, so you're just really mobile. Through nature, I guess, is a little bit through the environment, so it's okay. But it's seventh level. That's a little not strong enough for me for a seventh level feature to be all about mobility like this, so I'm not the biggest fan of this one. Eighth level feat, ninth level, you get your second expertise thing, which I think will feel good for Rangers to be more of a skill monkey, kind of like a rogue is. And then back to another subclass feature, and now we get tireless. Again, another miss for me because this is an 11th level. 11th level, people. Whenever you finish a short or a long rest, you gain temporary hit points equal to 1d8 pressure proficiency bonus. So, okay, you'll have a little bit more health, which, okay, cool. The Rangers, their health isn't that bad in the first place for the type of class that they are, so that doesn't really solve a problem or help them in a big way, but it's more health, so I can't complain, I guess. And then it decreases exhaustion, which is a very rare thing that happens, but I will say, with some of the other rules that I talked about in the last video, with this new exhaustion system they have, where you have 10 levels of exhaustion, and it's not as punishing, maybe there will be more opportunities to gain exhaustion through the new mechanics that they are doing with this whole 1D&D thing, but even then, it's just a niche type of thing, which I guess is rangery, because you can huff it out in the wilderness more. Again, I'll present some solutions here in a second, like I did with the Bard video. 12th level, you get a feat. 13th level, Nature's Veil. Similar to the other one, but now you're having to spend a spell slot in order to do this thing, and it's a bonus action. But again, you're expending a spell slot. Leave the Ranger's spell slots alone. So again, the fact that it uses a spell slot, I don't like. I would remove that and make it a proficiency amount of times per day, or once per long rest if you want to be strict with it. But there we go. 14, subclass feature. 15, Feral Senses. Again, I feel like Ranger, I don't know, like these are high level features, and you get blind sight at 15th level. Blind sight is super cool. It is very but it's a 30-foot range blind sight. So I don't know. It's 15th level feature. I don't know. I need more than this, or combine some of these things, or bump this down and give them this at the 11th level situation, and then bump the 11th level down and combine it with roving. So then maybe if you took the 11th level, tireless plus roving at 7th level, okay, maybe I can get behind that at 7th level. Okay, cool. And then we bump blind sight up over here down to 11th level, and we maybe combine some stuff with dark vision or a longer range. Maybe again, I don't want to complain too much, so we're going to keep going. But 16th level, you get a feat again. Okay, 18th level, this is now your capstone from before. This is the 20th level thing from before. They're bumping it down to 18, so at 20th level you can get a boon of some kind. So this is really the last Ranger thing for as far as capstones go. Hunter's Mark now deals a 1d10 damage to a target rather than 1d6. So now the number that you say, that you already are going to say when you deal damage, is going to be on average 2 higher. You don't get to do anything new. There's nothing extra that you can do as a Ranger. The thing that you already do just has an average of +2 damage more, and you roll a d10 instead of a d6. That is not a capstone feature for a Ranger. It's not. You can't do anything else cool. It's not. And with my Ranger that I have over here, you already get that passively, because Hunter's Mark is baked into the core of the class, as it should with Rangers. And the different subclasses, by the way, with this system, you could affect your Hunter's Mark in different ways, or targets affected by Hunter's Mark also have this, because it's such a core part of your class, and it's just a feature which really can help bring and differentiate all the subclasses and bring them online more and connect them to this Hunter's Mark. I digress, but this is a scaling thing that already happens, and it goes to D12 just naturally. It's not the absolute capstone of everything. It just happens because it's part of the Ranger's class identity of a Hunter's Mark. So overall, if I had to give a rating to this Ranger new update, I would give it a 4 out of 10, maybe a 3 out of 10, because really the only thing I truly like about this thing is them getting spells that come online at first level, and they get cantrips. I love that. awesome, cool. They made a cool attempt at trying to fix the Hunter's Mark thing by buffing it in some way and giving it to them at first level. But stop touching their spell slots. I've listed off all the things here, and now I'm going to present you with a little bit of the Hunter's thing I have here. But again, I'm going to be critical on myself here, because look, this was done along with Pagna Bros 2-3 years ago, and I've grown so much as a home brewer, and this has not moved or changed at all. I've had many more Rangers in my campaigns. I've done so much more stuff now. I can make this a much more better Ranger now, and it's going to be depending on you guys down in the comments, because right now, if I were to break this own thing down, I hate having these gaps. I've talked about this in the other videos with the Bard. I hate there being gaps here. I know it's whenever you get the next spell, but that's not good enough for me. I want to have something filled in every slot. So what I want to do is I want to take this Ranger, which I'll give a little sneak peek here in a second. I also do have a full video breaking this down in the description. And I'll go ahead and say this now. If you want to get this for yourself and have this whole thing I'm about to go through, there'll be a link down in the description to my Patreon. It's going to be a free post on Patreon, and it's you just kind of poke around there if you want. There's a bunch of other tiers that I have that are the paid subscription tiers if you want to join Patreon and help support what I do, because the support of you helping in that way is what fuels the fire to be able to make this 4th Ranger class that I want to be able to get out and give to you guys, to truly have a Ranger that is the one D&D version of a Ranger's best things, plus the best ones of this, plus the best ones of Rangers and comments and everything, to make truly a good Ranger that everyone can get behind and love. And maybe, just maybe, Wizards of the Coast will see what we make, and maybe it'll inspire them in some way. So check it out down in the description if you want to join Patreon while you're there. I'd super appreciate that. But it is down there for a free download if you want to check that out for yourself. But this is kind of a little bit of the rundown here. Again, this is the original as it's written. I already talked about the Hunter's Mark, and you get Natural Explorer, which instead of Natural Explorer being like this very specific thing where you pick a terrain and you're just stuck with it, you now can choose, and you get a cool feature, kind of like a fighting style, based on the terrain that you choose. So if you choose grasslands, your movement speed's plus 10 feet. That's just cool. Mountain gains a climbing speed. Urban has proficiency in investigation if you're looking through cities and stuff. Lots of cool abilities that you get to be able to customize the type of Ranger that you want to be based on the lands that you grew up in as a Ranger, that you're familiar with. You gain this bonus always. It's not like you have to be in the grasslands to be able to move 10 faster. No, it's just your experience from your backstory has led you to have these cool bonuses. Then you get a fighting style, and there's all the fighting styles there. Spell casting. Wilderness Guide is a very early version of some of the things that they were given at like 7th level. Instead of I want Rangers at my table. I want them to feel like they help the group travel better. And I just feel like that is one of the core components of a Ranger, at least in my mind, of difficult terrain doesn't slow your group's travel anymore. In far as big picture group travel, if you're engaged with another activity while traveling, you can multitask while traveling and be alert to danger. Your group can move stealthily at a normal pace. Like, lots of really cool travel bonuses because you're a Ranger. How cool is that? And that's a third. And look, if you notice this, that's also when you get your 3rd level. Like, this is you get a bunch of stuff at 3rd level. Wow, that's a lot at 3rd level. So ultimately, I might bump this around. I might bump this to 5th level, pair it with something else as far as that goes in the big picture. But again, this is a very small thing that one D&D tried to give at 7th level with this terrain type of feeling. But I think this should be earlier on and paired it with something else, and this is just an example of what you could do with it. Then you have extra attack. Vanish at 6th level lets you take the hide action as a bonus action, and you can't be tracked by magical means. And additionally, if you're hidden while you roll initiative, your first attack doesn't reveal your position. I think that's just a super cool thing that we could also pair with some other stuff. But again, depending on subclasses, we'll have to move some stuff around with a new 1D&D layout. Land Stride, now this is the terrain thing. So this is, again, me being critical on myself. This is not enough. 8th level to be able to remove non-magical terrain, etc., etc. That's really not that great. So honestly, this would kind of be like the 7th level feature combined with this is going to be probably just where my homebrew head's at, is take this, combine it with this, make it 7th level, and then okay, now we're talking. And then Hide in Plain Sight now is the bonus action to turn invisible, but it's proficiency bonus number of times, or in this case, it's long rest times. But I think it should be proficiency bonus times, because it's really not that much of an invisibility break if it's only until the start of your next turn. Feral Senses at this point lets you be able to attack invisible creatures without disadvantage, and you're able to see them within 30 feet. A little bit stronger, but again, we'd probably bump that around. And then at 20th level, we got Foe Slayer, which would now be the 18th level feature, the capstone. You can add your wisdom modifier to attack, roll damage, etc., etc. And again, this is a little lackluster for me, because in the same way that it's just extra damage, I don't think that should be what a capstone is. I think capstone should be a little bit bigger than that. So Foe Slayer, I mean, it's not that bad, but again, I I would change this on my own self. But again, that's all going to be up to you guys. What do you think of all of this stuff with the Ranger? What would your comments be on what the capstone foe slayer should be? I would love to see all this kind of stuff. And depending on how much love this video gets, or I'm going to ask my patrons the same thing. And if they want me to make a brand new 4th Ranger update for them, then I'm going to do it, because I super appreciate my patrons are what make this the whole thing even possible. So thank you for that. Thank you for watching the video. Let me know what you think. Comment down below and stay creative and think outside the box. Peace.